everyone, and welcome to a new video on the channel. Today we are setting up the month of February in my reading journal, and if you're new here, for the year of 2024 I am taking you to 12 fantasy destinations, and for the month of February it looks like we're going someplace really green and forest-like. I do give a little hint to each theme on the left side of the page. Hopefully the picture for that will be up on the community post before I put this up today, but I am very excited to say where we're going to. In the month of January we went to a war college. The video for that is linked in the description below and in the playlist for this year. And this month we're going to none other than Elfhame. I'm so excited. I actually set this theme up whilst listening to The Cruel Prince yesterday. It was such a delight to be back in that world, and it was really interesting to be setting up something that's inspired by it whilst listening to it. So Elfhame is the location or part of Faerie where the Cruel Prince and subsequent novels in the Folk of Air series is set by Holly Black. I know this is a series that's not for everyone, but I absolutely love it. It is a true enemies to lovers story, and it is a fae fantasy. It was an absolute delight to re-listen to. I read it the first time round and I gave it 4 stars, and listening to it yesterday, knowing the characters, it really gave me better insight to the world again, and so I ended up giving it 5 stars, and I cannot wait to continue my reread. So the front cover is already done now, and we're moving on to the monthly view. I had to change to this ruler because it really wasn't long enough. The one thing I'm finding with this B5 journal is that my usual habits of grabbing certain tools has to change because I have to do everything on a larger scale now, and so reaching for the wrong ruler happened multiple times while setting this up. I've also decided to keep in all the footage today that I took rather than cutting through line work and everything like that, just to showcase, I guess, the whole process. There is one portion of the journal that is not shown, and that is the second page of reading logs. The camera was charging at that point, so I just did it off camera. But otherwise everything else has been shown, and I am using this paper that I got from Temu. Sorry I cannot link it, it's actually sold out now, but I really like the greenery that came with it, this very deep forest vibe and very storybook like. I wanted to ensure that I had quite a few elements of that in the background with all the aesthetic photos. So like I mentioned, we're traveling to different destinations each month, and my focus is primarily on the architecture, the world itself. You know, obviously there are lots of photos of forests in this setup, but I have added in a little bit more of the people elements to this one, mostly because when I very first did The Cruel Prince in a journal, I didn't showcase it the way I wanted to. It was in 2021, I believe, and also my best friend, my best bookster friend, she is amazing with Pinterest, and some of the vibes that she put into the file were so on point that I just couldn't leave them out, so I have added them. If you want to follow her on Instagram, her handle is 𝓛𝓲𝓷𝓴𝓼. I'll have it linked in the description below, but I asked her kindly if she would help me with this project, and she has. She came through for me yet again. We've both been looking, but the majority of the photos that you'll see in this Pinterest aesthetic vibe for Elfhame, the majority of them were found by Millie, so full credit to her. Thank you so much for helping me yet again with this. As you can see, I did mess up on the calendar. For some reason I had clicked onto the calendar view that I was looking on my computer and it was still January, despite trying to change it to February. So easy fix, I've just cut away some of these pictures down the bottom, and unfortunately it does mean we cut away some of the knife held behind the back in this photo, but it still works and I'm happy enough to continue on. On the right side of the page I have changed, no, it's the next one actually. This one is just more so quite bare looking from memory. I did add some more elements onto that side, but normally I have my arcs and my book haul section on the right, which I'm going to set up in a minute, along with these photos that I've put in the middle to sort of separate them. I'm struggling to figure out how to work decorating such a large space, especially when I don't have enough information to fill it, if that makes sense. It looks quite bare in the beginning, but in my January setup for the same page, I have filled it enough that it looks less white, so I'm hopeful that that will continue to be how it will look over the rest of the year. I will change this page if I have to fit more information on it, to fill it in if it continues to look bare, but right now it looks really bare when it's just blank. So I have actually gone off camera and added a border, just a green border around the sort of outside bits, which is still quite plain on that side, but otherwise this is now complete, and I'm just rounding the corner of this paper and we're about to flip over. I am taking part in another readathon for February. For February, we are doing the Battle of the Girl Bands readathon by Rainy Blues Reads. I'll link that below as well. I have been convinced yet again by my friend Monica, who is bibliophile by night. I'll link her below in the description as well, to do yet another readathon with her. We did Rainy's last readathon in November, which was Get a Clue, and it was quite chaotic. This one seems less likely to go that chaotic, but who knows. It does have 10 prompts. I am writing them all down. I have got books aside for all of them, like thought out which ones for each prompt. Whether or not I get through all of them is entirely up to me in February. I can't judge that, but I am happy to have this space set up for it. Again, it looks quite blank. I do come back and put in the prompts in the boxes. I intend to put the covers of the books there and then write down the information where those dots are. But yeah, right now it looks really, really blank, not being used. On the right side of the spread, I have my usual information. So we have the TBR, we have prompts, and we have events, which is what I've renamed buddy reads and readathons and stuff like that, or book club reads, that kind of thing. I am struggling, like I mentioned just before, to try and figure out how to work the setups that I normally use. You'll see that things are slightly different on the next page as well. I'm trying this layout, so I do like how this came together. I really enjoy just filling it in with the pictures and having the headers at alternate sides and just really going with lines to separate things and using this more vertical layout. Hopefully it'll work out for me. I haven't tested it yet, obviously, so I will let you know how that goes. But for now, I'm really in love with the way that I've chosen to work this page, but it's all very much so down to experiment at this moment. I'm hoping by March I'll sort of have my swing in place. Like these first 2 months I feel like are very experimental because I'm not used to the size that I'm working with. It's a good experiment to have though, because I can change pages around and figure out how I like the layout for this year, which will be really interesting. So I've given each book 3 or 4 rows. Technically there'll be a line in between that's free, but we'll just see how it goes. My entire TBR that I've already planned out will not fit on that TBR section, so I will be just putting the books that I am certain that I want to get through. I try to limit my TBR to about 8 books each month, but obviously I mentioned that the Battle of the Girl Bands has 10 prompts, and I'm going to try and do all of them. So yeah, it's going to be a little bit interesting to see how I use these pages, but I'm really looking forward to using them and seeing how this works out. Obviously, when I don't have a readathon on, this will be a 2-page spread that will work perfectly, but because I do have a readathon on for February and I needed the space to mark it down, I wasn't sure what to do. So this is what I came up with, and I'm really happy with it for now, and we'll see how it works out in February. finally finishing off the last readathon prompt, and I'm going to put down the bottom the ultimate buddy read for this readathon as well. I've read the first book, so I just put the second one. I checked with the host if that was fine, and anything in the same world is perfect, so I've written down one book there already. Flipping over, and this is what I mean by things are changing up. I wanted to have a space for not just my library hires, but also my Audible listens. I have subscribed to Audible, I think, in September last year, and I haven't been marking down that I get my books from there. So I thought I'd make a space for it, especially since I've got quite a few books on there that I want to read, hopefully over February. Um, I also have made a section for DNFs. Over January, I have DNF'd, I actually can't remember how many, but I think it's about 6 or 7 books already, which is so unlike me. I normally cap it at 4, but I did DNF 3 the other day on one day, so I'm not sure what that's all about, but I feel like I need to have a space for it to better track and understand what I'm doing and where are these books all piling up on. I do have a separate section in my reading data journal for DNF books, but I think it's really important for me for 2024 to change up some of the ways that I am tracking information. So I know it's a bit of a double up overall, but I think it will be really interesting to help me with understanding my trends and working towards better setups in the future. So that is why I've made a section for DNFs. On the right side, I am doing my first 6 blocks of the reading log. So over January so far, I've read 22 books, and I was not expecting that at all. I have read a few novellas this month. I've read 9 of them, but still, that's still quite a huge number to try and fit on. I was only expecting to read about 12, so I have set up for a total of 18 books in this page and the next 2-page spread. I hope that I don't read any more than 18 in February, but that's how much I've got set for now. I can always add an extra page in or do a little tip in or something. Yeah, trying to just listen to what needs to be done rather than try and plan ahead, if that makes sense, and get annoyed when I haven't got enough space or if I've got too much space. I want to kind of do it as I go. Maybe January is a bit of a fluke and I will go back down to reading like 11, 12 each month. I'm not sure, but I'm enjoying my reading right now, so I figured I would have enough space just in case. And I've done the same layout as I had in January. So far it's working all right for me. And because I haven't done my stats page yet, because obviously this is the first month still when I'm filming this and narrating it, I can't figure out how that page is going to work without leaving this until later. So I decided I would set it up the same way, and if I feel like the pictures next to the head in the little boxes of each book don't work for me and I want to go back to doing a collage in the stats section, then that's absolutely fine. I will look into that when it comes to, like, I need the information first before I can set it up. So March will definitely have my full setup, I think, my way of going. Hopefully by then I'll have a better understanding, but these first 2 months I just really want to figure out what the new norm will be, if that makes sense. So we're now at the final flip through, and I'm really happy with how this came together. Like I mentioned, I've done a couple of things off camera, added some borders just around a couple of areas where it looks really blank, but otherwise I'm so thrilled that I was able to take you all to Elfhame. Do you feel like you got the experience if you've read the book? I'm really excited to continue on with rereading it, like I mentioned, and I just love all the green. Normally I do a hot pink and red theme for February, so it's really interesting to do a forest vibe for February, but they are my ultimate enemies to lovers couple, Jude and Carden, so it makes sense that we have them for Valentine's since I adore them so much. So for the next month, I actually am going to another green place, which is interesting, but I won't let you know about that until we get there. Until we next meet, I hope you have fun reading. Bye, everyone.